Welcome to GS 104, Module 2, The Origin of the Universe. Unit 2.1, Origins of the Universe. In this unit, the following will be focused upon: the rationale for discussing the origins of the universe, the scientific basis for explanation of the origins of the universe, the ancient Greek civilization and how it encouraged the study of the living, how Thales, one of the earlier Greek philosophers, provoked interest on the origins of the universe, the various ancient Greek scholars, philosophers, explanations of the origins of the universe, the basis for the review of the earlier theories of the origins of the universe, the Big Bang and quantum cosmological theories on the origins of the universe. Objectives. At the end of this unit, you should be able to 1. Explain the theory of everything and its connection with the origin of the universe. 2. Explain the basis for the explanation of the origins of the universe. 3. Explain the influence of Greek civilization on the origin of the universe. 4. Discuss how Thales provoked the discussion on the origins of the universe. 5. List and explain the 7 bases for the explanation of the origins of the universe by ancient Greek scholars. 6. Explain the basis for the review of earlier ancient theories of the origin of the universe. 7. Explain the Big Bang and quantum cosmological theories on the origins of the universe. Introduction. Since time immemorial, numerous people have been searching for the origin of the universe. The universe as constituted has remained an enduring mystery and a tall challenge to successive generations dating back to the distant past. Opinions had varied about the origin of the universe. The curiosity of contemporary man to unravel the mystery of the origin of the universe is not unprecedented. From the time immemorial, the mystery about the origin of the universe had attracted the attention of man. In this unit, you are introduced to the scientific theories or explanation of how the world or universe started. It should be seen that theories on the origins of the universe are as old as science. The theories of the origins of the universe are as follows. Theories of the origin of the universe by ancient Greeks. It must be placed on record that the ancient Greeks had distinguished themselves as pacesetters in the bid to explain the origin of the universe. The Greek civilization was unique and could be distinguished from other centers of civilization in the past. Whereas centers of civilization such as Egypt, Assyria, China, India, Aztec, and a host of others devoted their resources, energies and time to the glorification of the dead by building monuments or pyramids to venerate them. The Greek civilization was about the celebration and sanctity of human life. The Greek had proclaimed that man is the most wonderful creature on earth. Therefore, the Greeks deployed their resources to make life worth living for their citizens. In the 6th century BC, the Greeks in the Mediterranean island of Maltos asked a fundamental question about the genesis of the universe. This was to become an important question whose validity and ramifications had outlived generations, times, locations, and ages. The first person to ask the question was Thales, a philosopher, who asked what was the world made of. Such question or inquiry was thought unnecessary because the issue of the creation of the universe was not only thought to be conclusive, but belongs to the realm of the spiritual world, which was not open to ordinary person. Thales refused to go to the priest to seek an answer to his question. Instead, he proclaimed that his question was scientific in nature and deserved scientific answer. That would have amounted to declaration of rebellion against the status quo, which could not have taken such an affront lightly. At the risk of his life, Thales pronounced that water was the ultimate explanation for the origin of the universe. The significance of this position could be seen in the courage he had to make a declaration of that nature in a society where issues could only be handled through the intervention of spirits. In other words, it was not the neatness of his argument or his answer that mattered, but what mattered was that it opened the floodgate for subsequent scholars who had been provoked by his question and answer. Subsequently, other philosophers were to follow his footsteps and provided answers to his question, albeit in different ways and context. In addition to the explanation of the origins of the universe by Thales, below is the chronology of other scholars who attempted to answer the question on the origin of the physical world. Anaximenes had also asserted that the world was made from a lump of matter that was shapeless and motionless. He could not account for the origin of the matter itself. Anaximander had claimed that the universe was made from pure air. Heraclitus was of the opinion that the universe was made from an enduring impact of everlasting fire. He was reputed to have said that the world is in the state of flux, that nothing appears to be steady. Hence, it summed up that you cannot step into the same river. Aristotle had attributed the origin of the universe to first order unmovable mover. He had asserted that the creator of the universe has the power to move everything around it, but it remains unmoved. Plato, in his theory of forms, went beyond mere explanation about the origin of the universe, but equally alluded to the fact that what is knowable is what is permanent. He contended that the physical world as constructed is subject to frequent changes. Hence, our desire to explain it is dwarfed. He claimed that the only world that is knowable is the supersensible one, where things are permanent and therefore will be explained. Therefore, Plato's theory was to provide a fascinating dimension to the quest by humanity to unravel the mysteries of the physical world. Pythagoras, who was a mathematician and magician, had claimed that number is the first substance, hence accounts for the origin of the universe. He had substantiated his claim by saying that since everything in the world is related to one another in terms of numbers, inevitably it becomes the sole explanation for the origin of the universe. There are also other scholars who had attempted to explain the origin of the science. Note that theories by ancient Greeks are many in number, but was started by Thales. The Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory is the cosmological model of the universe that is best supported by life's scientific evidence and observation. As used by scientists, the term Big Bang generally refers to the idea that the universe had expanded from primordial Earth and dense initial condition at some finite time in the past and continues to expand to this day. George Lemaitre proposed what became known as the Big Bang Theory of the origin of the universe. However, he called it with another name, hypothesis of the primeval atom. The framework for the model relies on Albert Einstein's general relativity theory as formulated by Alexander Friedmann. The Big Bang Theory was developed from observation of the structure of the universe and from theoretical consideration in 1912. Vesto Slipher measured the first duplex shift of a spiritual nebula, which is an obsolete term for spiritual galaxies, and discovered that almost all such galaxies were receiving or giving away from Earth. He did not understand the cosmological implication of this fact. 10 years later, Friedmann showed that the universe might be expanding in contrast to static universe model advocated by Einstein. In 1924, Edwin Hubble confirmed that the spiral nebulae were indeed other galaxies. Independently, in 1927, Georges Lemaitre, Belgian physicist, predicted that the recession of the nebulae was due to the expansion of the universe in 1931. Georges Lemaitre suggested that there was evidence that the universe had contracted backward in time. This suggestion was to provide the basis for the development of the Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory is relevant from the above background of the universe. The exponent of the theory had argued that if in 20th century the galaxies were expanding by an intervention argument at a time, the galaxies that were expanding had compressed. Robert Penrose, who proposed the theory, alluded to the processes of winding and rewinding of the galaxies as having accounted for the origin of the universe. The exponent of the theory contended that the universe had emerged from high level of monumental explosion triggered off by high density created by the compressions of the galaxies. It was claimed that there was pre-existing void, which facilitated the processes that led to emergence of the universe. The universe was said to have been created about 15 billion years ago. As we shall see later, the inadequacy of the above model notwithstanding, it could be considered a major breakthrough in the bid to explain the origin of the science. However, there is no doubt that the theory appeared to have raised more dust than it had sought to settle. Several unanswered questions have arisen from the model. It's more so as the exponents of the Big Bang theory had laid claims to science as the springboard for the theory, thereby exposing it to further questioning. Perhaps if they had not claimed that they were scientists, their opinions would have been tolerable. However, that was not to be, hence the shortcomings associated with the Big Bang Theory. The unanswered questions associated with the theory include the following. A. The theory was unable to explain how the creation of the universe could have taken place without the singularity of time, space, and matter tied together, whereas they alluded to pre-existing void. They were unable to account for time and space, hence raising a fundamental question about the scientification of this science world. B. The model could not account for the origin of the pre-existing void said to have facilitated its emergence. Neither could they explain origin of galaxies themselves. C. Is it feasible to argue that time and space spontaneously came into being at the same time? D. Besides, if the galaxies wind and rewind as claimed by the exponents, are we likely to experience another contraction in future that could trigger another explosion? If yes, what would be the implication of that development to mankind? E. It is equally contradicting that galaxies that were said to be part of the universe could be used to account for the origin of the culture. Take 2. It is equally contradicting that galaxies that were said to be part of the universe could be used to account for the origin of the universe.
Quantum cosmological theory. Hitherto, the great edifice of physics that was built up in the 17th century through the work of such pioneers as Galileo Galilei and Isaac Newton was commonly referred to as classical mechanics. The great triumph of Newton was to demonstrate that his law of motion correctly describes the shapes and periods of the planetary orbits. In time, it was assumed that if every particle of matter is subject to Newton's law, with its motions determined by initial conditions and forces acting upon it, then everything that happens in the universe is fixed in every detail. The universe is clock. Everything that ever happened is happening now or will happen in the future, which was being unalterably determined from the first instance of time. The future is fixed. This was the sweeping implication of Newtonian machines. However, Davis Paul, 1988, asserted that if the future is determined by the present, then the future is in a way already contained in the present. The present state of the universe contains the information for the past too. All of existence is thus frozen in a single moment of time. Past and future have no real meaning. Things are happening. Time flows. What this means is that it seems the universe has never ceased to be creative, fashioning ever newer and more novel structure and relationship in the wondrous transition from the stardust to thinking humans. The above standpoint notwithstanding, it will seem that the scientific search for the ultimate explanation about the origin of the universe remains an issue of concern. Such concerns and frustration among scientific community were echoed by Emil Weichert when he said, "So far as modern science is concerned, we have to abandon completely the idea that by going into the realm of the same, we shall reach the ultimate foundation of the universe." I believe we can abandon this idea without any regret. The universe is infinite in all directions. not only above, up in the large, but also below as in the small. If we start from our human scale of existence and explore the context of the universe further and further, we finally arrive both in the large and in the small, at misty distances, where first our senses and then even our concepts fails us. It is against the above background that the quantum cosmologists evolved and positioned their theory. The exponents of the quantum cosmological theory had viewed the Big Bang theory with serious misgiving, even its deficiencies and infertility as scientific platform for the explanation of the origin of the universe. In the light of the above, the exponents of quantum cosmological theory assert that for the creation of the universe to take place in the manner presented by the Big Bang theory, the singularity of time, space, and matter would have been present. They further argue that in the absence of the above scenario, it would amount to contempt of scientific reasoning to uphold the Big Bang theory as a dependable framework to explain the origin of the universe. They were of the view that the universe as presently constituted is a dynamic force of self-creation. However, like the Big Bang theory, the quantum cosmologists equally have their shortcomings. Firstly, they fail to explain the origin of the universe itself and the process of its self-creation. Besides, they are unable to explain the transformation of the universe from its infancy to date. Perhaps an agitating question could be the size of the universe at the beginning. Besides, were there universes or one universe? From the foregoing, it could be argued that even in the face of the pervasive theory of everything, the nature of truth and our bid to understand the origin of the universe seems to be that it ever recedes from our grasp. Or could it be a series of the more we look, the less we see? End of Unit 2. Thank you for listening.